Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Google Spreadsheets for Beginners. This is Natalia Lemoyne, and I'm the Instructional Technology Specialist for the Gilderland Central School District. I'm going to stay here for a couple more minutes and wait to see if anybody else is able to join. I hear some other people are trying to join, so we're going to give them a couple more minutes for them to join. Okay, let's go ahead and get started and see if we can go ahead and get started over here. I have someone else trying to join. We'll give that person one more minute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today's presentation is about Google Spreadsheets. One of the main issues people encounter when switching to Google Apps is abandoning Microsoft Excel in favor of Google Spreadsheets. Because most of us use a spreadsheet to analyze simple lists of data, Google Spreadsheets are actually superior to Excel in many ways, not to mention offering many of the same features. So in today's workshop, you're going to learn the following: Google Spreadsheets versus Excel, how to create a Google spreadsheet, some formatting tools that will help you make better spreadsheets, and making your Google Spreadsheets automatic so that they do the work for you. So let's talk about Google Spreadsheets versus Microsoft Excel. Some of the advantages of Google Spreadsheets are that they are one single version at all times. And Google's main advantage revolves around collaboration. If you're working on an Excel sheet with multiple coworkers, it will be frustrating, time-consuming, and even counterproductive to email several different versions of the same spreadsheet back and forth. With Google, you only need one version of the same spreadsheet that could be shared among a few collaborators or even your entire organization. So let's see how we do that. I'm going to go to my Google Drive, and I'm actually going to pull up the spreadsheet that I have. I share with you this spreadsheet on our event page, so you can see this and play around with this data. So I have my spreadsheet here, and I am using this spreadsheet with other coworkers. So to do that, I simply go to Share. The sharing menu will come up, and notice that here at the bottom I see the invite people box. I can start entering people's names here, and I can give them certain rights. They can edit if they're going to work with me, or they can just comment or view. So I'm going to leave it as edit. I can send them a little message here if I wanted to by clicking here, or just simply click send. Okay, I hope you were listening to me. I don't know if I had the microphone muted or not, but if I didn't, I think I'm going to have to repeat things again. Sorry about that. All right, so today what you're going to learn is the Google Spreadsheets versus Excel and how to create a Google spreadsheet, formatting tools, and some tools that will help you make your spreadsheet automatic. I was just saying that some of the advantages with Google Spreadsheets over the Microsoft Excel are the following. Google Spreadsheets has one single version at all times. It is multi-user, real-time collaboration. It's full-featured. It's got revision history, which is great. When you make a mistake, you can go back and revert to an older version of the same document. You can edit, view, share from any device, anytime, anywhere. It is important that we know our limitations. So using Microsoft Excel is important if you are working with complex financial models, sorting and editing large amounts of formatted data. So if you're that type of user, then I would suggest stick to Excel. That doesn't mean that all these new capacities will come to Google Spreadsheets soon. They are working every day to make Google Spreadsheets better. All right, one of the main advantages revolves around collaboration on Google Spreadsheets. So if you're working on an Excel sheet with multiple coworkers, it could be frustrating, time-consuming, and even counterproductive to email several different versions of the same spreadsheet back and forth. So with Google, you only need one version of the spreadsheet. So that's why I was showing you this spreadsheet. You only need one version of the same spreadsheet that could be shared among a few collaborators. So I'll click on the share button here, and then I'll add someone by inviting them over here and typing their email address. Mind you, they do have to have a Google account. And from here, users can make any changes to the document, to the same document in real time. They can also chat if they wanted to, or add a comment to a specific cell. For example, and they can comment on that. And all this without having to worry about sending back and forth different versions of the same document. You can also monitor the progress and the changes if there's ever a need to revert back to an older version by clicking on File and see Revision History. That will show me what's done, and I can revert to an older version by clicking here. And there it is. Building and formatting a Google spreadsheet is also very similar to the process in Excel, with a number of tools available to customize a spreadsheet to fit your needs. So for example, if you look at the toolbar here on the top, you'll see that over here you can change the text color. You can change the cell color as well. And you can do all these other formatting tools that I'm going to show you in a little bit. If you ever need to take action upon data, there are plenty of functions easily available on the menu. And you will click that over here on the functions. These are the most frequent used, but you can search for more functions over here. There's a list of different functions and their explanations. Also, Google Spreadsheets, just like the rest of Google apps, are based completely in the cloud. So you can view, share, and edit your files from any device, anytime, anywhere. There are Google Drive apps for Android phones and iOS phones, as well as tablets. This is great for most of us, but for those who are dealing with large amounts of data or complex functions may run into some issues. One of the few downsides of using a cloud-based spreadsheet is large amounts of data that can be a bit slow to load, and so users who need that functionality may be forced to stick with Excel. But I have noticed that as teachers, we don't deal with tons and tons of data, especially formatted data, maybe lists that are longer, but not formatted and conditional data. So that's why I think Google Spreadsheet is a good fit for us. So let's look at creating your first spreadsheet. Let's go back to our presentation. Some of the uses that you can have for Google Spreadsheets is organize a field trip, for example, as you can see here. You can use spreadsheets to plan a budget. You can use spreadsheets to gather contact information. You can use spreadsheets to calculate exercise statistics or create an invoice, and there's so many other uses that you can. I can't really think of all of them, but I'm sure that you can as we go through this this workshop together. One of the things I wanted to share with you is how to create a Google spreadsheet. So the first thing you're going to need is obviously a Google Apps account. You're going to have to log in into your Google account, and you'll have to go to Drive. You're going to have to click on Create. You're going to click on Spreadsheet, and then you're going to name your spreadsheet by clicking the Untitled Spreadsheet on the top of the screen. Now, let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go back to my Drive, and I'm going to click on Create, and I'm going to click on Spreadsheet. This opens up a new window. Notice this. And as of now, it's called Untitled Spreadsheet. Notice that I have to click here to rename this document. I type the new name and click OK. And there is named. Okay. Notice that I don't have to worry about clicking on File Save because Google saves everything automatically in Google Drive. It's about every 60 seconds it's saving it automatically. So that's a good feature too. The other thing that you can do here, and let's look at the formatting tools here. You have obviously File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Data, Tools. This is something new that just released this last week, the add-ons, and the Help button. Let's start by adjusting your column width. You can do that by clicking on that line and dragging it to make it bigger, narrower, or wider. You can do the same here with the columns and with the rows. Now let's go back to our presentation. Let's learn some of the basic formatting tools from the toolbar. We're also going to learn some filtering and sorting. We're going to learn filter views, freezing rows and columns, conditional formatting, and functions. So let's get started with some basic formatting tools from the toolbar. As a reminder, I want to let you know that you can plug in your questions if you have any on the Q&A app on the events page. And I'll be seeing those questions as you post them. So let's start with the basic formatting tools from the toolbar. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet that I just created. I can start simply adding data onto this spreadsheet by clicking on the cell and start typing any information. For example, I just created a couple of rows here, actually headers I would call those, and then I can start plugging in the information by simply clicking on the cell and typing. Now, many times we might want to fix the information that is inside of the cell. And notice that, for example, this one, the contact information, the last few letters are outside of the margin. So to do that, what I want to do is click on the cell and then click on Wrap Text. That's going to wrap the text inside the cell so that you can actually read it better. Also, the vertical align, which is this little tool, sometimes you might want to bring the information on the cell to the very top of the cell, or just the middle, or just at the bottom. Notice that you can also change the borders, and you can just leave either the vertical borders or just the outer borders colors over here. So for example, I want first name with specific color. Last name, I want it with a different color. And so on and so forth. I can also change the text color if I wanted to make it more appealing to those who are very visual. And say, for example, here, I can go and change it to red, for example, like that. I can change the font just like in any Word document, and the size and the style of that font. So those are some of the basic, very basic formatting tools. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to something a little more complex, which is filtering and sorting. So for filtering and sorting, I'm going to go back to that spreadsheet so I can demo what I want to show you. And let me go back to the spreadsheet that I already have with information so that it's easier for me to show you. So the filter feature in Google Sheets makes it easier to analyze and view your data by hiding the data that you temporarily want to take out of the view. So for example, when you want all of your data to have you're searching for something in particular, so then you want to filter your data so that you see only what you want to see. So for example, I have a list of all the students in a school district, and I have in this column is column F is the city where these students were born. So say that I want to apply a filter to my spreadsheet because I want to filter this information by city. So I can simply select the whole spreadsheet by clicking on this square over here right below the function box. And I can go to this little funnel shaped icon. Some people say it look like a martini glass. Why not? And we can click on filter. And notice that now I have the headers over here have a little drop down arrow here. So I can now sort this field or this column by A to Z or Z to A, and I can actually select which cities I want to show. Since I don't want to show all of them and I'm interested in knowing who was born in Boston, then I can clear them all and then just select Boston and then click OK. And that's just going to show me all of the students that were born in Boston. So I can, with this filtered information, I can also do something that is very cool in Google Spreadsheets, which is called filter views. So let's say that I want to save this for future reference or for quick reference. So now that I have filtered my information, I want to go back to next to the little funnel icon. I want to click on the little arrow next to it. And now I can click on Save as Filter View. When I click here, this window comes up. And I can say I want to name this Boston. And now I have a filter view called Boston. So I don't have to filter the information again. I just simply go back to my filter views as Boston. So now I want to name this as Boston. Boston born. And so now if I go here, if I go to my filters, now I can see it listed down here. So I can quickly go back and reference this Boston born list. I click on None, and then I want to go back to my, where you go? Turn off filter. There we go. So now if I want to go back to see the rest of my data, I just simply click on the little funnel thing again to turn the filter off. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to do that one more time. So if I want to filter the information, I simply click on the filter. I could have selected my whole spreadsheet over here, or just simply click on the little funnel icon here to turn on the filter. As you turn it on, notice that each of the headers, and I didn't have any headers on this spreadsheet, but each of the headers here have a little drop-down menu. So for example, I want to filter now this data by gender. So I want to clear this all, and I would just want to show all of the male students. I'm going to click OK. And then I also want to show all of the male students that were born in Boston. I'm going to click OK. So that's going to narrow it down for me. And again, I can save this filter view and give it a different name. Notice that the one that I just did before is still here. So if I want to turn this off and I just want to go back to my regular spreadsheet, I just simply click on turn off the filter. And there it is. I can see the filters. I can see my whole spreadsheet now. Okay. If you have any questions, just make sure that you're posting them on the Q&A app. Okay. So the next thing that I want to show you now is right here, our sorting. So I'm going to go back to my Google Spreadsheet, and I can simply select a column. Say, for example, I want to sort, this is days that students are present in the school. So I want to sort this, and I can simply select the column I want to sort by clicking on it. Notice that it turns our blue. And then I can click over here, and I can sort the sheet, or I can sort over here. What is it, data? Sort the column A through Z. So it's going to give me A, obviously it's going to be the lowest number, Z is the higher number. So there it is. Okay. Every time you do something to your spreadsheet, it's automatically saved. So if you want to revert back to what you've done before, you can simply do the undo or go to the revision history over here. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to show you, we covered filter views already, and now the next thing I want to show you is freezing rows and columns. So over here, I'm just going to add a header here because for some reason I had it here before and I don't have it now. So I'm going to insert. I'm going to type in here. Notice that I'm inserting a row at the beginning of my spreadsheet by simply clicking insert row. So this is student ID, and this is student name. This is last name, date of birth. This is the city, gender, grade level, days in. I'm going to delete this column actually here. I have it 2 times. All right. Whoops. All right. Okay, so now that I have some sort of headers here, it might be easier for me to show you this way. So I'm going to show you how to freeze the rows and the columns. So I have my first row here, and say that I have all this data. Notice that as I move the data, scroll up and down, then I lose my headers. So I don't know what this information is or what those numbers are or what these numbers are. So what I want to do is freeze this header row so that as I scroll, I can still see and relate the information with the correct headers. So to do that, I simply go to right here. Where's the view? And freeze rows, and I'm going to freeze row 1. So as I do that, notice that there's a little gray line right below the number 1, the row. So if I scroll down, notice that that stays in place so that it's easier for me to determine whether this is the last name or the first name or the student ID. So that makes it really easy. I can also do the same with the columns. So to unfreeze the row, I simply go back to View, and right here. Is it freezing it again? Yeah, it's freezing it again. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're just going to undo. There we go. So now I don't see the gray bar over here. So say, for example, I have an extended spreadsheet over here, and I have lots more information on these columns here. And every time I move my information to continue, I lose which student I'm talking about. So I want to freeze this column over here. So again, I go to View, Freeze Column. So now I can scroll to the left and to the right, and I can easily align the student ID with the rest of the information. So that is freezing rows and columns. So I'm going to just pop a quick question there to see if you have any questions or to just clarify. Could you please tell me, what do I need to do to freeze a row? Okay, so I have Jennifer asking, can you right-click and get any options? Yes, so if I click on, if you're talking about a column, I can right-click and I can see these options over here. I don't know if this is what you were talking about or not. But my question was, what do I need to do to freeze a row, for example? If you know the answer, you can go ahead and type it in the Q&A. I'm going to demonstrate again without saying anything. There it is. Okay. So the next thing that we want to talk about is the conditional formatting. Now this is a very cool feature because it allows you to set certain conditions to each of the rows that you have on your spreadsheet. Now this is particularly very helpful if you're working with other people on the same spreadsheet. So let's see what that looks like. Conditional formatting rules help you by getting a visual summary of all the changing data that you have here. So sometimes you keep plugging information on this spreadsheet and that starts changing. And that it gets a little complicated to read all this data. So you can format the cells to change the text or the background colors if they meet certain conditions. So for example, if the cells contain certain words or number. So let's see how that or what that looks like. So say for example that I want on this spreadsheet, I want to make sure that every time that I see, for example, the days that are in, students attended school, I want to select, highlight the cell or the range of cells that you want to apply the formatting rules to. So I want to apply to this whole column because this column tells me all the days in. So I want to select it by clicking on the column letter. That selects the whole column. And now I want to click on the Format menu. And I want to select Conditional Formatting. So now with the Conditional Formatting window open, I need to define the conditions for the specific text colors or cell background colors. So if the text contains, and we're talking about numbers here because this is a column that has numbers, so if the number is less than 170 days, because we have 180 days, and if they're less, they can only miss, I think, 10 days. So if less than 170, I want Google to do something. I want to format the background, and I want Google to apply the red color. So I'm going to save that rule. And boom, now I have a visual, quick reference of all the students that have less than 170 days in school. So that is conditional formatting. And this rule will stay here even if collaborators start adding more students and plugging in this data. Then as soon as you start plugging it in, it will change the background color. You can apply multiple rules and select up to 5 for a given cell or range. And to say, for example, here, I want to go back to that format and conditional formatting. This is what I have so far. If I want to remove this, I can simply click on the X to remove that. Or I can add another rule if I wanted to format this information even more. So I'm going to cancel that. When you specify multiple rules, they are evaluated in the order listed. So something's going to happen first, and then the second condition is going to be applied. That means that the first rule found to be true will define the format of the cell or range. And if you copy and paste from a cell or a range that has formatting rules, these rules will be applied when you paste the copied data. I don't think there are any rule limits per cell or range in the new Google Sheets. We used to have those before, but not now. And so that is so far. Now let's see. Let me check on some more of the questions that you may be having. Okay. I see under Edit, click on Freeze Row and pick how many to freeze. So let's try that. I think you want to do that under View to freeze the rows. You're meaning choosing more than just one? You simply click on the Shift button as you select, and they are frozen now. So if you wanted to freeze more than just one, I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next thing, that is functions. With functions, Google made it really easy with the functions, especially because I'm not a very good person with math, let's say. So this was really easy for me. So let's say that, for example, I want to apply a function to this information I have here. So it seems like this is their student's average. I'm going to just name right here. Oops. And let's say that I want to apply a rule, a function to this information that I have here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete this one over here. What I'm going to do is click on the next cell, on the next column, and I'm going to start simply by typing the equal sign to start adding a function. I can do that, or I can simply go here to the functions menu or little icon, and I can click on the frequent ones, which is sum, average, count, max, min. And there's some other functions here too. So I'm going to do average for example. So let's go ahead and do let's do some. So if I click on that, notice that it starts populating, so I need to give the first value, okay? So I can simply go and click on the first value. So say, for example, I want this with my first value. And then I want to add my next value here. Put, oops, not that. Sorry. For some reason, I'm having a delay here. I'm going to undo this. I don't know if they're seeing me or not, but I'm having a huge delay here. Well, I don't know when I'm getting this. How about we revisit the functions in a little bit? I'm going to undo this. Okay, so we're going to go and move on to the next part of our workshop, which was making the Google Spreadsheets work for you. So there's a couple of things that you can do to make it automatic, and I think these options are really good for us if we work with Google Spreadsheets. One is data validation, notification rules, and protected ranges. So the data validation is what we're going to see now. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and you can do the following with data validation. This is important too when you're working with other people. You can restrict what values are possible for cells that contain numbers, dates, and text. You can also show people a warning if they enter invalid data. So for example, I have someone working with me on this same spreadsheet, and now what I need to do is on this column over here add their email addresses. So I want to make sure that anything that's entered on this column is actual an email address, so that I don't have to go back and check again that whoever input this information here did not make a mistake. So I can tell Google to validate the data as the users type it in. So, or I can prevent them also from actually entering anything that is invalid in the first place. So the first thing you want to do is click on the data menu and select validation. You can also right-click a range of cells and select data validation, so that's like another path to get there. So right here, and click on data validation, you get to the same little window or dialog box. And let's select your validation criteria. So for example, we want to select the cell range, which is the sheet 1L2, and the criteria would be for example, a number, and it has to be between, for example, I don't know, greater than, it has to be greater than 10. You can either show the warning or reject input. And you can give them some help by clicking here, okay? But I want to go back and see if I can get the text contains. It's a valid email. I think that's what we were going to do. So if the text is a valid email, so we want to make sure that they get a warning or we can reject the input. So the help button will be here, enter a valid email with the @ symbol. Okay, and I can click save. Now I can start typing something here. And notice that it gave me a little validation here. If I hover over it, it gives me a hint. So for example, so that is a valid data that I input there. So let's attempt to do something that is not correct. Oops, what happens? Okay, it was supposed to tell me that it wasn't correct. Oh, that's because I put the .com. Okay. Well, let's try with the dot without the dot. Oh, wait a minute. Did I select the whole cell? Oh, that's probably what happened. Sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is here, data validation. I'm not sure if I selected the whole thing. Yeah. Text contains the valid email. Okay. All right, now here we go. I was just applying it to one cell, and now I can see that it tells me that this is an invalid cell because I have this little red triangle on the top. This one is okay. This one is also incorrect because I just happened to use the whole column. But that's what your users will see, so they will have to come in here and fix this. And as it's fixed, then they don't see the little red triangle. So that is what data validation is. And now we're going to move on to something that is really cool that is called notification rules. This is great when you're working with other people on the same spreadsheet. And so for example, if I want to make sure that I get every notification or anything that somebody has changed to this spreadsheet is notified to me, I can set up automatic notifications. And this is like, again, to find out when my peers have modified the spreadsheet or they have they've modified any cells or anything on the spreadsheet. So, and I can also choose how often I would like to be notified. So what I need to do is go to the tools and select notification rules. And in this window that appears, we're going to select when and how often you want to receive the notifications. So notify me in my email address when any changes are made or when someone submits a form, and notify me when. So say for example, I want to know when anything has changed and I want you to email me either right away or a daily digest, which means at the end of the day you'll get a summary of everything that has been done to your spreadsheet. So I can do that, and then I can click save. Then I can also add another notification rule if I wanted to, or if I'm good with that, I can leave it like that. And automatically anything that is done to this spreadsheet, you'll get a notification in your email. So I'm going to click on done. By the way, you can do this also with the Google Docs. Okay. So let's look at the next thing that I have here. We're getting close to the end. Notification rules, that was that. And now we're going to move on to protected ranges. Now, if you want to restrict your collaborators from editing specific sheets of your spreadsheet, you can protect those sheets in Google Spreadsheets. So, which is great because sometimes it's happened to me that I'm working with someone and they're changing the information on the wrong sheet or changing the information on the cells or columns that I do not need people changing. So we can protect the sheet and we can protect the ranges. So let's look at that. Let's look at protecting the sheet. So notice that on your spreadsheet you have at the bottom here, this is sheet number 1. And so what you need to do to protect this sheet, say you don't want people to modify anything on this particular sheet, but we could, if we had other sheets on the same document or same workbook, as it's technically called, the other users can modify anything over here on the other sheets. So to protect this sheet, I simply click on the sheet arrow and click on Protect Sheet. And then I can get, I can enter a description for this particular sheet. You can either select a range, for example, or the whole sheet in this case, and I can set some permissions. So I'm going to call these, for example, born or city, because I don't want people to modify the city. So I'm going to go to the range, and the city is my F column, so I'm going to click on the F actually. Let's cancel that. I'm going to click on the F again here, and I'm going to protect it from here. Notice that I did this by clicking, hovering over the letter of that column. You see that little triangle? If I click there, I see the menu and I see Protect Range. So I have my range selected, and I can see, I can call it city, and I can set certain permissions. So I could let anyone work on this, and this is the one I shared with you. That's why it says anyone has the link and edit. So you could be online right now and editing this with me. Or I can add specific people, and I can, the people that I've shared this specifically, I can either let them edit or just comment on this particular cell. Okay, so I'm going to hit done here because I still want to let that other user change the information. And then I can click done. Okay, so now I can see that there's a couple of protected sheets or ranges, and it's listed over here. Or I can add another one, another protected sheet or range over here. So I can close this, and that is that. Okay. I think we've covered some of the things that I wanted to cover. So I am done, but I'm open for questions. So I'm going to go back to our Hangout and see if you have any questions. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them on our Q&A app. And I'll be happy to answer them. So I have one question here that says, when a document is shared with you, can you view which ranges are protected? So collaborators that who try to edit a cell in a protected range and they don't have edit access, they will receive an error message. So they are able to see the cell, but they're not able to see whether it's protected or not. So when opening a spreadsheet with protected ranges, individuals will see the ranges they don't have edit access to displayed with a checkered background, sort of. So they have sort of like a visual, but you won't see like a notification box telling you that. If the background pattern makes it difficult to read the spreadsheet content, then you can hide the protected ranges by pointing your mouse to the view menu and unchecking the protected ranges. So say, for example, if I want to do that, I'm going to show you here. So I have, this was a protected range for the other person that I added, so you won't see it like that, but the other person would see this column right here. It would be grayed out or like checkered background. So if, say, that person has lots of ranges or columns that are protected, and it makes it difficult for that viewer or that editor to actually view the information on the spreadsheet. So what that person can do is actually hide these protected ranges by pointing the mouse to the view menu. Let's see. Oh, I won't see it because I'm not the person, obviously, but they will see here on this menu, they will have to check protected ranges. So in that way they will hide it. So hope I answered the question. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Okay, so Jennifer, it says here that you would like to use Draw.io.pro. I'll have to research on that one a little bit because I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish with that, or are you trying to draw something? If you tell me what you want to do, maybe I'll find, I know a couple of good applications that you can use. And I'm glad that you like the filter feature of the spreadsheet. That is really good. Okay, so here's the thing. If I don't have any other questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to create a spreadsheet that you can share with me, sort of like a documentation / homework for this training. That would serve as your, so I can put you on my learning plan if you like to get the credit for this hour. If you like to do that, please feel free to create a spreadsheet and send it to me. And I'm going to keep on waiting for some other questions over here. Seems like my system is a little slow for some reason. Okay, I wanted to show a visual of a flowchart, but I don't need to. There's a couple of new options. Yes, you can do the homework later. I'm looking at another question. But there's a couple of new options with the new spreadsheets and the new Google Docs that you can actually create beautiful flowcharts on Google Docs right there on your Google Doc. So if you're interested, email me and I can come and show you how to do this. But there's tons of little cute apps that can do that, and they're really not complicated to make. Yes, you can do the homework later and send it to me if you're interested in getting the credit. If you did not register for in my learning plan, this was a workshop through NERIC. So let me know and I can register you for that one. And if not, then we are set. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. And don't forget that if you have any questions, you can always email me or follow me on the channels that you see on the presentation. And again, the links and everything that you need to revisit this presentation are on the website of the event. Thank you very much for watching. And yes, you can hang up. Thanks.